And welcome to another episode of Tectonic Takes. I am here hosting today in the absence of our dear friend Ivan Ornelas, whose birthday was actually yesterday. Happy birthday, Ivan! I do want to say off the top of the podcast that I can't say enough good things about Ivan. Like he's one of the best people I know. Like he's such a sweet guy, and also his impact on the Quake community is like it's up there. And I don't know if he realizes like what he has like helped cultivate, and like helped us make, and just the influence that he has, with creating Tectonic Takes in the first place. And we really appreciate you. Uh, but I am joined with my very good friend Devon. Devon, how are you doing today?
Doing good. Coming off of an away win, can never be happier, really.
Right, right. Yeah, it was a really well fought win, I believe. I think that Vancouver probably will feel kind of hard done by the result. I feel like they have a right to feel like they should have came out of there with at least a point. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I have the same thoughts as you, Abram. Um, I think the word "fought" or the term "fought" is an understatement. We definitely had to, we fought tooth and nail to escape a victory, and not just a victory, but also a clean sheet for Daniel away, which is almost unheard of in MLS play. So, props to the Earthquakes for coming back home with 3 points and a clean sheet at the same time.
Yeah, and marks our second win away from home this season, and it's been really great because the last time we went away from home was against Seattle, and I don't know about you, but I did not expect to come out of there with a win. 3 points at that stage of the season was huge, and we went into this game. Our last episode talking with Angelo Zara, we were both of us like this is a huge game for both of our teams because of the implication it has on playoffs.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Well, especially more so for Vancouver because we were ahead in terms of the matchup. Now we're 4 points ahead of Vancouver, so we have a little more breathing room per se. But kind of like you said, we have two away wins, and both of them were 1-0 victories. So both wins came from two shutouts. So really impressed with the guys. I don't know what were your thoughts throughout the game, Abram?
Please don't. Oh God, please just stop. Like that was my thought every time Vancouver got the ball, and I mean we have Daniel to thank for that win. I think that we defended for our lives, but without Daniel, I think that this is like a 5-0 beating. You know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, if it wasn't for Daniel, I think surely we'd be hanging our heads in shame right now. That game could have felt like what we experienced back in 2017 when we first made playoffs when we had to go to Vancouver and we had that 5-0 shutout loss away. But thankfully we have Lucci.
Right.
Thankfully we have Lucci Gonzalez and he knows how to work our defense right. Um, and it's just incredible to see our boys fight the way they did. Because one of the things that the Quakes fans always seem to push for is you please fight for the badge. Show that you have the fight for the badge and play for this club. Whether or not you play well or not, please fight for the badge. And that's exactly what they did, and I'm really happy with it.
Definitely, I totally agree. Um, and we have a few debates I would like to bring up. And whichever side you would like to take, I'll probably take the other. But the first one I want to bring up is defender Tanner Beeson. Uh, my thoughts on him are he's someone who is playing above his level. And that doesn't mean like he doesn't belong in this team. It means that he is putting in a shift that we wouldn't expect from Tanner Beeson previously. Uh, and if Tanner, if you're watching this, we're gonna say some mean things, but we are also gonna say some good things because he has been a very he's been a revelation in a team where a lot of times we don't have defensive depth, and we've been able to replace Mensa with Beeson, which is a really crazy thing to say. Um, but what are your thoughts on the whole Mensa versus Beeson situation?
Well, with Beeson, I do agree with you. You know, he is fairly shaky and a bit inconsistent at times. You know, he had that one handball call versus LAFC, I think, at home or away. Was away, right?
Yeah, all the way.
Um, so he's had some moments where he hasn't helped us drop points, but you know he could have played better. But I think you're right. He's playing above his ability right now. And you know, given the fact that he's against some tough talent like Rodriguez and like you said Mensa, and we'll get to that in a second. But um, I think he doesn't have the necessary quality to start for the team. Um, so going into that comparison with Mensa is I do agree. I think Mensa should be the one starting over Beeson. Um, whether or not Lucci agrees and whatnot, there's got to be something going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. But we're paying Mensa quite a bit of money to sit on the bench, and that doesn't really seem like the right deal. You know, a bunch of Columbus fans saying that like he was one of their best players. They're sad to see him go. I don't get it. I don't know why Mensa's on the bench.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, I can take the opposite argument, though I do ultimately agree that Mensa, pound for pound, is probably the better defender of the two. But with that being said, Beeson kind of he was a steady rock in a time where after Mensa came back, he didn't get right back into the team, but when he did start, I think one game, he gave a penalty and wasn't particularly great. He we have to admit that Mensa has had some inconsistencies in his game. I don't think he's great at playing out of the back. I do like the fact that he doesn't try to overcomplicate it, and if he thinks that he's not going to make that pass 100%, like if it's not going to be accurate, he will just boot it up the field. And I think that's like a lost art in defending, nowadays. But and Beeson, when he played, we were doing well. We went on a run and defended well. I do think that he has really good qualities, but I think that this game against Vancouver was the one where he started to come back to earth, where he started to show his like normal self and true level. And not that he didn't have a strong opposition to go up against. I think that Vancouver did a really good job, and their two strikers caused a lot of issues running out our defense and running in behind. And then when we brought on Mensa later in the game, we were like, wow, we've been missing this guy. And we saw the Mensa that we originally saw at the beginning of the season that was like unshakable, a brick wall, very solid. And we're just like, why is Tanner still on the field? But yeah, what are your thoughts on like my rebuttal? Like, what would you say to that?
Yeah, no, for sure. There's a couple pieces of evidence that I'd like to bring up. You know, especially the game versus Vancouver. Beeson was definitely caught out a couple of times in the 1v1s, and thankfully Daniel was there to clean up after him. And I will give credit to Tanner Beeson. There were a lot of moments, you know, especially in the Vancouver game again, where he cleaned up after Daniel's rebounds and saves, and he was there at the right moment at the right time. And that's not really a coincidence. You have to know where to put yourself, just like you know Wando says. Um, you got to read the game right, and he does know how to read the game right. It's just I think some of his individual qualities don't match the opposition. Um, I want to say interaction, but yeah, I think you know what I
Yeah,
mean. Whereas with Mensa, he just has that overall quality that you want in a central defender. Um, Especially when we had the game against LAFC where we drew 1-1. I will you know push against Mensa a little bit and say, hey, he didn't really play well that game, and especially in the first half, and then the second half he became a completely different animal. But you don't really see that with Tanner Beeson. he doesn't really have that switch up. Like, oh, I made these mistakes. I'm going to walk into halftime and change who I am. Like he kind of is fairly consistently inconsistent throughout his play. Whereas, like we said with Mensa, he knows how to adjust his game.
No, yeah, for sure. I totally agree with him. I think that comes with the uh, like plethora of experience that Mensa has as a top defender in this league, and that's something that unfortunately Beeson doesn't have. Um, but I mean, he's showing good things, and I think that we're lucky to have such a good third choice center back. Unfortunately, maybe fourth choice once Nathan or Nathan comes back and is healthy.
Is that how you say it, Nathan?
In Portuguese, yeah, it's Nathan.
Ah, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
he doesn't speak
Yeah, no.
English. Like imagine like in Brazil, like he's born and they're like it's Nathan. Like that.
It's cool that he's learning how to speak English
Right,
because we went to the meet and greet the other
mm,
day and he was talking to us in English a lot and it kind of surprised our
right.
family.
No, yeah, he's been here for a minute, and I was also surprised by how much he spoke English. But
Oh wait, that's right. I was
yeah,
with
we
you
were
for the
there
meet and
together.
greet. Yeah.
Um,
Sorry about
no,
that.
you're all good. And I gave you a card, a Espinosa card too. Um,
I have
yeah.
that. That's stuck
Unfortunately, we didn't get to
in
get
the
it
binder.
signed because they closed off the line before we got to Espinosa. But that's neither here nor there. We can
Yeah.
talk about that on a different podcast. Um, I want to move over to the guy behind Mensa Beeson Rodriguez, uh, Daniel. What a keeper! Uh, we had a lot of naysayers in the beginning, the early days when we brought him in, um, and I don't see them anymore. They're just not showing up. So what are your thoughts on Daniel and his like spectacular time here?
Well, I'll have to own up to it, but I was one of those naysayers. I said, "Why the hell are we signing a international slot goalkeeper for 600K?" It was just absolutely absurd at the time, and looking back at it now, I'm making regrets saying what I said, and I'm sure there's a bunch of others in the Discord that we can bring up too. Maybe I can edit it onto the podcast
Yeah.
for some jokes, but no, Daniel has been incredibly crucial for our defense and results, making a bunch of clean sheets. His delivery, his distribution to the defenders is unlike any other goalkeeper, and maybe you can find this stat, but somewhere on Twitter, or formerly known Twitter, now
Hmm.
X, I think it was Jamin Moore. He posted something where Daniel is the second best goalkeeper in the
Yep.
league over, I think, Petrovic, right?
The only person above him is the ex Dortmund keeper, the Swiss
Yeah,
guy,
Roman
Berkey.
Berkey.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, what is it? Petrovic is going for 17 million to Chelsea, and Daniel is better than
Yeah.
him. So what is Daniel's price tag?
Yeah. No. I don't think that we would sell for 17 million. We need him right now. He's probably Espinosa is the only player I think that might be more crucial to this team than Daniel or Daniel probably is how they say it.
Yeah, Danielle.
Yeah,
Yeah, apparently according to SoundCloud.
right. Um, and yeah, I mean when we first brought him in, right, I could understand why we would be, um, worried uh, about bringing in an international slot goalkeeper for an actual price tag. Because keeper is like a position where we don't see a lot of value. But the truth is that like if Leach is going for this guy, there is value. And if you looked at the numbers, I went and looked at his like goals and how many goals conceded versus how many games. He has less than a goal per game, which is very good for a keeper. Um, and like we've gone over it many times, and he only got shut out of that team because he got injured, and the second keeper came up and did a better job than him. Like he was doing an amazing job, but then the second keeper,
Right.
improved on that. which is crazy. We should have got that guy. That would have been sick. Um, but I mean, I think that this is a lesson to everyone that Leach knows what he's doing. And I mean, a lot of people question Leach a lot, and it's unfortunate.
Right.
He brought in. I mean, we haven't seen Hoppy yet, but Akinola. He. If you're done with Daniel, I kind of like want to talk about Akinola because I really liked him. I liked him in the few minutes he got. I thought he was really good
I
at
would,
defending from the front.
yeah, I'd like to share a little bit more on the Daniel
Sure.
thing, but I think we have to give credit a little bit more to not necessarily to Chris Leach, but to our Brazilian savior. Right? What is his name? The scout,
Oh,
Bruno Costa.
yeah, Bruno
Bruno
Costa.
Costa. Yeah, the one who scouted Neymar. I think. Got to give big credit to him because I think he's the one who scouted Daniel and sent the information over to the boys,
Yeah,
Leach and
for
Lucci.
sure. We're very lucky to have Bruno Costa. One of my greatest accomplishments is having a tweet that Bruno Costa liked, and I sent it to my dad. I was like, "Look at this! This is freaking amazing."
Do you remember? Do you remember what the tweet was?
Oh yeah, I was talking about Edwin Mendoza, who we will get into later, probably if we have time. Um, I had talked about Edwin Mendoza and how amazing of a player he is, and who he could grow into, and he's such a shy guy. Sorry, we're getting into so many different topics, but so
There's a lot
you
to
would
talk
never
about.
see Edwin Mendoza if someone didn't point it out to you, because that's the kind of player he is, unfortunately. But yeah, back to Daniel. Yeah, I agree that we're super lucky to have Bruno Costa because, I mean, I think a lot of our South American talent has come through Bruno Costa. I think that he's an underrated part of this organization. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy that he works with us, you know?
Yeah, there's not much else we can say about it because he works behind the scenes. We don't exactly know what he
Right,
does, but the players that he brings in they they're astounding.
right. I totally agree. Um, where were we? We can cut this out if we have to.
Ayo Akinola.
Yeah, I canola. So I was thinking about canola. Like we were very skeptical of Akinola when he was brought in on loan, which is a very low risk thing. But anyways, people still want to doubt Leach. Um, we brought him in from Toronto, and his first game, gotta say, wasn't great. He looked kind of like lost out there. It wasn't terrible. He didn't have much time to make an impact, but he wasn't great. But this last game against Vancouver, he came in and he put in the work. What are your thoughts on him?
Yeah, I mean we could say the same thing about Daniel too. He started off shaky, and then over time the results improved, the fitness improved, etc. Um, I agree with your statement in the first game that he didn't really impress anyone. In fact, I think he might have created a couple of new haters, if I must say. Um, but the fact of the matter is, he's only here for a short time. He's still on loan, and I think the game against Vancouver, he showed that he was able to maintain possession under tight spaces and distribute appropriately to the right players and hold possession for the team. So even if you're a nine or a winger, that's part of the job is holding possession. He did that. Um, I don't think I think Lucci's tactic at that point was to hold possession and hold the lead, and not to score again. So he did exactly what he needed to do. So yeah, Ayo Akinola so far is beginning to gel more with the team, and I really like to see what I'm
Right.
seeing.
Another Canadian that we might disagree about, and that's why I bring him up, uh, Michael Baldissimo. Uh, so I want to say up front, Michael is a player who I believe has a lot of skill. I think that he has a good IQ for the game. I think that he has positive qualities, but I don't think that he's a player who fits in this system where we have to run a lot. We have to be very physical. He's a center defensive mid, so he doesn't win the ball. But he's center defensive mid, despite the fact that he doesn't win the ball much. He doesn't like get up in the air as much as like someone like Grezzo or Judson or. So I didn't think that he played super well against his old team, Vancouver. I thought that his on the ball was okay, but you want to see him do more off the ball. And there was occasions where he was struggling to make a tackle, and I know that was a hard situation. I have to admit that, but I think that a professional footballer does better. And I think that maybe Jackson Yule does better. Maybe Judson does better to get the ball out of your feet and just shut down the attack when you need to shut it down. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, you hit the nail on the head there. Baldissimo is one of those players where if you're in possession, he will hold possession. If he's under pressure, he might give the ball away, and that's what I really fear most. When Baldissimo has possession of the ball, he has a higher chance of giving the ball away if someone initially pressures him, and that's not really something you'd like to see as a six because he's already in his own half, and you're supposed to maintain possession of the ball, and he doesn't really find the ability to create awareness for himself. I look a lot of times, and Jackson Yule is known for making head checks and looking left and right to see which player is available if he's being marked and whatnot. You don't really see that much of Baldissimo, of him doing that. And kind of like you reiterated, especially what is it in our own box and our own half. At one point, Baldissimo went for a tackle or a couple of tackles, and he seemed to he missed on those
He
chances, and
missed
that's
three
not something you'd like to
tackles
see. It
in a row.
three tackles in a row, and the opposition was able to get a shot on target, which Daniel saved. Um, but that yeah, again, that's not something you'd like to see in a six, and I'm not that impressed with Baldissimo. Thankfully, we get Jackson back
Mm-hmm.
for the game versus Kansas City. His suspension has now been served, but at this point, he's on the low numbers of the depth chart.
Right, and it's starting to look like, unless he turns it around, which I know he can, I think that he has it in him to turn around his career at this point because he got released on waivers in his rookie year from Vancouver, whose academy he came through as a homegrown, and then after a year he comes to the Quakes, and we also, it looks like he's going to get released on waivers from us. Uh, so it's like, do we just give up on him? Because when he goes to Quakes II, he doesn't look too interested. I feel like obviously a player who played MLS before might have some reluctancy to play for in the MLS Next Pro League. But the thing is, you're not impressing with the first team. Uh, your chance is here. You have to take it, and his attitude hasn't been where it needs to be to show the how show like his strength. We haven't really. He's kind of like just there on the field, and that's just not good enough.
Exactly. He's just another, like you said, he's just another number on the field, basically, and
Right?
that's not what we want.
Yeah,
So,
and
something that you may have mentioned before, I think, in the Discord, and you touched on it a little bit, but yeah, he was quite unhappy when he was called down to Quakes II. Um, and for a player that's looking for a chance, I don't think that's the way you're supposed to react.
yeah, and I mean, look, if he's listening to this and like if he disagrees with, I'm just always thinking about what the players are thinking about what I'm saying. But I mean, we have a podcast, we have a duty to the people, so we're gonna say what we think.
Yeah.
Uh, but if he like maybe it's just like us projecting onto him that he doesn't try hard with clicks too. But man, it just doesn't look good. He's not. He's a first team player, and he doesn't stand out as much as first team players usually do. Like Buddha is insane when he's on Quakes too, and he's like a middling guy for the first team. Uh, when you're with Quakes 2, that's when you should show why you're a first team player, what makes you special. And he doesn't do that. He's just kind of like, okay, I'm here on the field. I'm going to pass to the guy next to me. Maybe he'll do something. Whereas like someone like Kem Seeley is working the entire game to show why. he wears the shirt. Uh, I think that there hasn't been a game where I've been like, Cam Celia, he looks tired or he doesn't look like he's 100% in there. He is clocked in. He wants to win the ball, and also on the ball, I feel like he does a similar job as Baldissimo and progresses the ball well with both feet. He's calm on the ball, which is surprising for a balls to the wall center defensive mid, which he is. Um, and even Edwin Mendoza, who hasn't been having the best time in his last few games for Quakes II. He shows talent. You can see the kind of player he is in that sixth role, um, where I think that it's not a good sign when a 17-year-old is kind of like showing better,
Is
you know, impact.
Yeah, he's basically putting Baldissimo in his own shadow.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just waiting for when Lucci feels comfortable enough to take that risk, because it's definitely a risk if you pull up Mendoza and it doesn't work out. Then that's on you. But I don't think that it would impact us any less. I think that Edwin Mendoza has a similar play style, but does it better and has a better defensive game. And Cam Sealy, I think, is ready. I think that physically he's up there with the top guys, and he has the game to kind of match it as well. But I mean, I'm the Quakes 2 guy, so I'm always gonna be partial to them, unfortunately. But
Yeah, I'm just excited as Cam Celia as you are. He's definitely showing out for Quakes II, and like you said, putting all of his energy into every game and giving his best effort to just to impress, basically. Um, and yeah, going off of Edwin Mendoza, do we think Lucci is willing to risk putting a 17-year-old in that spotlight?
yeah, so what I've seen from Lucci, it doesn't seem like it. He seems. I mean, I know that he has a reputation of I. He brings up the young guys. We all heard about like the player that came through Dallas when he was there. Um, it just I, I could be wrong, but it doesn't seem like anyone is looking at Mendoza but me, and then the few people on Twitter, and then also Faultline, who is doing a great job covering the team and always being there to support. Um, but he's a special player, and I have an article cooking on him. I just want to do it justice. Like this is for me. Probably has a higher ceiling. There are different types of players, but has a higher ceiling for me than freaking what's his name, Cruz Medina, who everyone was like, this is the best player in the Quakes Academy. You know what I mean? um he has a super high ceiling. He The way he sees the game is like he's playing FIFA. He just has an overview of what's going on, and sometimes he's like not on his game, and that's going to happen with a young player. But he is a very special player, and I think that he could, if he develops physically, because he's kind of skinny right now. He's not super fast. So if he could like win those like clinch matches and get the ball like away from the attacker better, then I think that he could rival Grezzo at when he's like when he's closer to his potential. That's just how much I believe in Mendoza.
Well, I'd be lying to you and say that I watch a lot of Quakes too. I really don't watch as much, obviously, as you do. For some reason, the games always play when I'm at my other job. So, um, yeah, you're the best Tectonic Takes inside source for Quakes too. So we appreciate you a lot for what you do for analyzing the team.
Sure, yeah. I mean, I think that anyone listening should definitely check out a Quakes 2 game if you can. If they're not on Apple TV, then they are on the MLS Next Pro website, and they'll just take you a link. They'll give you a link to a YouTube stream, and you can watch it for free. It's totally free, and they're having a mixed bag this year, but they're definitely an exciting team to watch. But we'll get into that later, because I want to ask you, Devin. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
we keep bringing up his name, the Cheetah, Cade Cowell. Uh, so I want to hear your thoughts about this game, because I think it was kind of like it was okay. It wasn't bad.
Yeah, Cade had a. I want to say it's a little bit better than a mediocre game. Honestly. So it started off in the first 10 minutes. We saw Cade Cowell making more passes and trying to open up space for other players, which I thought was great. And I think towards the 10-minute mark, he started trying again to, take these one-on-one opportunities, and he couldn't find any opportunities on net and whatnot. Um, so I was a little disappointed with the latter stages of Cade's performance in the game, but he started well, and that's something that Bologna need to see from Cade. Being able to distribute as an attacker and not just take everyone on by yourself and think you're a one man show. Which Cade definitely is not a one man show. Sometimes he acts like he looks like he is, but um, yeah, he also was a part of the build up to Christian Espinosa's goal.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos Carrozzo intercepts the pass, lays a one touch to Cade Cowell, who careens it off with his right foot to Espinosa. Espinosa um, sends it to Jeremy Abobasi, and they're back on the counter attack.
Uh,
Um,
I think you got it a little bit wrong.
who
so,
wait?
so I'll describe the goal and then I'll let you continue. I mean, it's not a big deal, obviously, but Cade
Okay.
Cowell gets the interception, so he runs out in front of the fullback, gets there first, hits it down to Espinosa. Espinosa finds then Jamiro Montero, who pushes
Oh
forward
yeah, you're right.
and
You're right.
then sets up a Bobasi, and then you can describe the rest.
That's right. Yeah, it was Monty, and then Monty sends it to Abobasi. Abobasi crosses. None of the Vancouver defenders intercept, and Espinosa slots it home near post. So if it wasn't for Cade Cowell, that goal may not have happened. So the cheetah strikes again.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that it is an underrated thing he did there. That shows awareness. He anticipated that play. Uh, his pace is what allowed him to get in front of that defender, and that first time pass to Espinosa is something that we might not have seen in earlier iterations of Cade Cowell. He might have gotten the ball and then tried to run past everyone, then just stepped off the field for no reason. Um, but no, it was a smart IQ play, and it ended in a goal. And it's those small things that I think that Bologna should be taking note of, because it's not just those marauding runs, taking on 5, 10 players. 10, that's a lot of players. you know, 5, 6 players.
He tries.
He does. He really does. But no, he was incredible in the FIFA the U20 World Cup. He was the best player in the World Cup, for a time. And he was good with the national team as well. He a lot of people had higher expectations than what he showed, but he was good with them. Um, I think that we had some people in the Discord calling for Matthew Hoppy to play in that spot, but I feel like Cade didn't show anything where it was like we need to get him off.
Right. Yeah. In general, going to the Matthew Hoppy discussion, I don't really see many situations or instances where anyone in MLS signs a player and they're immediately a starter. I just don't see that happening very often, if at all. I would like to know. I would like to know what players have done that, because not even Messi started in his
Yeah,
first game. Not to bring him up and upset people because he is brought up way too much in MLS, but uh, it's one of those things where he wasn't needed in the game, and maybe that was just the strategical purpose. He was better suited for maybe Sporting Kansas City's um, uh, opposition tactical.
I also think it would be
So
kind of rude for Lucy to bring him on at that point. It's like, all right, Hoppy, get in there and defend, because we cannot hold the ball for our lives. And it
yeah,
wasn't his kind of game. He likes to be on the front foot. He is a very direct attacker. Um, and I just want to say, for Cade, this is the most we've seen him defend. Like, he was trying really hard to get the ball back. He was defending, he was really low, just right next to the left back, almost like another left back. And that's another piece of growth uh, from Cade that we didn't see before, and it was a lot of people were bringing that up where he kind of walks and you know isn't putting in enough effort defensively. So that's why we started bringing in Benji to pick up the slack there.
Yeah, a lot of well, I'd like to make the comparison where he was almost Altidore esque, where defensively he walked, he was used to walking around and waiting for the ball to come to him off for a counter. But you're right, against Vancouver, he dropped back a lot and almost played as a wing back in a way, and it was nice to see Cade Cowell making that hustle to retain possession for the team again and make those counterattacking runs. Um, but one of the things going back to the Cade Cowell build up play, one of the criticisms I have for the team constantly for throughout the last couple of seasons, not just this season, is there's a lot of moments where our players' first touch is in the air,
Mm.
and that erases about a good quarter second to a full second loss of you know control.
Yeah,
Um, the opposition will close you down in an instant, as we've seen versus like Baldissimo when he's in possession. If he has a bad touch, they're going to close him down in an instant. You know, but the game against Vancouver, there was almost no instances of juggling first touches. Everything was smooth on the ground, and that whole buildup with the Espinosa goal, there was hardly any ball in the air. Cade Cowell's pass perfectly on the deck. Guerrezo's pass to Cade Cowell perfectly on the deck. Everything else was smooth as butter, and I'd like to praise the players for that before we continue.
yeah. No, I think that if any of those balls bobbled, that goal doesn't happen. The ball to Kid Cowell was coming at pace. He had to, take a good touch to get it over to Espinosa first time. And if it's bobbling, it's much harder to do that. And then if the ball to Espinosa is bobbling, then he might have to take another touch to get it to Montero, and then same for Bobasi. Um, and that play looked like it came like from a set piece, like they practiced it, because you look at when Bobasi received the ball, which we don't see those in behind runs from him very often. It was very refreshing. I would have been so upset if he just came down to the half circle and just like waited for the ball there. I'm like, no, dude, you are the striker. You need to run. But he made that run, and then without even like he did look over his shoulder, but he couldn't really see Espinosa. He just kind of played the ball with the faith that he was going to be in the right spot to finish it off.
Yeah, it was a heck of a ball by Espinosa or Montero to Jeremy Abovasi.
Right.
And like you said, Jeremy Abovasi hardly even looked up to see if Espinosa was there. He kind of just threw it into the box in hopes that someone was there to slot it in. Which is kind of funny because if you think about it, there's a lot of Espinosa crosses that have no one on it on the other end. And now all of a sudden, Jeremy Abovasi makes a cross and someone's on the other end to slot it home.
Hey,
So,
Espinosa's like, this is how you finish a cross.
yeah, it's a teaching moment in a way.
Right. But yeah, so I wanted to move on to the next game. After we got a 3 points in Vancouver, we are then going to Kansas. And Devin, what can you tell us about that game?
So, Sporting Kansas City currently has a record of, I believe, 5-2-5 record at home. So 5 wins, 2 draws, and 5 losses. So we certainly have a chance at taking home at least 1 point, which we've done quite a bit for other opposition, for other away games. So Kansas City's recent home record has actually been quite nice, despite Leagues Cup. We don't have to include Leagues Cup in the results, but in terms of MLS play, Kansas City has gotten quite a few points at home. So it's going to be a tough matchup. I think we reiterated versus Vancouver. Vancouver is a high scoring team. We were expecting to come away the game or come away home with a loss, and yet we still ended up winning with the shutout. So I think our approach has to be crucial I think Sporting Kansas City is an attacking team. They have Alan Pulido as a striker, and he's building his form right now. They have a couple other attackers who are starting to gel well with each other. So we have to keep that in mind with with our defensive efforts. And personally, I'm a little nervous with Tanner Beeson's ability to defend against Sporting Kansas City. What are your thoughts, Abram?
And yeah, on Beeson, I'm curious, like, what's Lucci waiting for? Like, because I see Lucci as someone who is very smart in soccer, um, but Mensa never playing a game is really worrying for me, and I think he earned it. He was really good. He was so solid. I don't think he let anything by him, and just like his aura on the field, it makes me feel so much safer. Just like knowing we have like a warrior in our back line. Um, and his relationship with Rodriguez is, or I'm not even going to attempt to do the Portuguese pronunciation of Rodriguez, um, but it like they're like best friends. I don't know if they speak the same language at all. I know Rodriguez does not speak any English. I mean, barely, of course, but they we've seen the videos, we've seen them dancing together, and they really get along. There's that chemistry, and when they were starting together in the beginning of the season, it was like this might be the best center back pairing since we had Bernardes and Goodson for us. Um, so yeah, I do worry about that. Coming against this really strong front three, they're a very good attacking team. And for me, just to kind of give my thoughts about the game, it kind of feels like the game that we lose. We're expected to win, and we do better as the underdogs. I feel like against LAFC or against Seattle, we came out of nowhere and showed them like who's the better team. Um, but yeah, so that makes me worried. Like we kind of like look at this game as an easier match, and even though we have Jackson Newell coming back, I'm just I'm scarred by being a quicksand for so long. I feel like because we should win, we're not going to.
Right. I think our Discord server, some of our members put it best. We have this saying, Goonies never say die, but I think this weekend it's one of those situations where it's like Goonies can sometimes say die,
Goonies say
you
die
know?
occasionally.
Yeah, Goonies say die occasionally. Um, I'm currently looking up at the last result we had versus Sporting Kansas City. Given it's at home, we won 3-0.
Yep.
And JT Marcinkowski was the goalkeeper at the time. We had 10 shots on target. Sporting Kansas City had 9 shots, or sorry, 10 shots on without on target. 6 of the 10 shots were on target, whereas Kansas City had 3 shots on target. We retained the majority possession, 54-46. We surpassed KC in passes, 585 to 499, which makes sense because we were a possession oriented team. Mm-hmm. 10 fouls each, 2 yellow cards, and Kansas City also had a red card with Robert Castellanos. Looking at the last lineup, Jonathan did start with Rodriguez in a center back pairing versus Kansas City. So would we see that again? I really do hope so. I really do hope so. I also think that Matthew Hoppe will take a left wing spot or even a striker spot later in the stage, because I really don't think we will have the lead coming into the second half of the game. I personally believe Kansas City will score early, and we're going to have to fight tooth and nail to work our way back up after halftime, and we'll make some adjustments and hopefully push for a second half comeback. And I think Matthew Hoppe is perfect for that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that it's kind of written in the stars for him, the kind of player he is. There's kind of a spot for him, even though Cade Cowell was such an important player for us and highly revered by our fans and our coach. It's not like that left wing spot is untouchable. Unfortunately, a lot of people think it is. A lot of outside fans are like, "You guys have Cade Cowell. Why are you like looking for new left wingers?" Mm, you don't get it. Um, and I talk bad about Kate Cowell way too often for how much I adore him. I think he's one of my favorite players, but we always have that caveat. But Hoppy would do really great. I think that he has really good build up. His movement off the ball is uh would rival Kate Cowell, who also I think is improving a lot in his movement off the ball. What I'd be excited for is two 6 foot and over people on the box for Espinosa to aim at. With Hoppy coming in on the left side of the box, and then Abobasi hopefully being in the box as well. Those are two big targets for Espinosa to aim at, uh, and I'm sure at some point it's going to end up in the back of the net.
Yeah, definitely. I fully concur with your statement. Um, sorry, you had something to say?
Sorry, what'd you say?
Oh, I asked if you had something to say.
No. I also want to talk about Jackson Ewell and his impact on the team coming back after serving a suspension. Because for me, I feel like whether Quakes fans want to believe it or not, a lot of the way we play goes through Jackson Ewell, just surrounds Jackson Ewell. Uh, I don't think they realize how much of an impact he has on this team.
Yeah, well, he is our captain after all. So I think having that addition of leadership in the locker room, especially at halftime, is going to be crucial for an away game. Um, it's unfortunate he missed the last one, and unfortunate they didn't let him serve his suspension before the Gold Cup, and we were unable to have him versus voice crack versus Vancouver. Um, but you're right. Centrally, he is a crucial player for distribution and offensive possession oriented movement. Um, so I'm really happy to see Jackson Ewell, Carlos Grezzo, Jamiro Montero, and who else may be part of the midfield at the time um, take take the throne for Kansas City.
No, yeah, I definitely agree. I think Montero is a player who's been very shaky. He did set up that play, and that's like a very good example. I mean, he set up the play for the Espinosa goal, to be clear, and it's an example of the quality he has. We know the kind of player he could be, but whatever happened this season, he hasn't really been that. I think that he's shown glimpses of quality, and he obviously is a very good midfielder, and definitely MLS quality. But he's taken up a DP contract, and I think for most people, if we're looking to buy down a DP and bring another one in, Montero's the first name on that list.
Yeah, Montero is the type of player who I personally do not believe should be on the DP list. We've mentioned in the Discord server he didn't show much pleasure in living in the San Jose area. Um, but I really hope Montero is bought down and added as like maybe a TAM player, because it would be nice to have another attacking midfielder or sign Hoppy or whoever else is needed in an attacking position to replace Montero as a DP. I think his performances overall are not DP worthy. He's shown glimpses where he could potentially be a DP player, but I think given his age, he's already surpassed that performance aspect
Hmm.
to become or to maintain his DP status. So I mean, yeah, that's my position on Montero. I think also last game he showed a lot of instances where he, given it's his first it was his first game back from injury as well, and he also started. So I do appreciate his diehard efforts for the team, but at the same time, it was a little shaky, and I think we can make do for a fresh designated player slot.
Yeah, he's definitely a player that we can improve on. Though he did serve our team very well, especially last season. It didn't, end up in anything, too great as we were last in the West, but we appreciate him nonetheless. So closing out the discussion on Kansas City, what are your score predictions?
My score predictions.
Mm-hmm.
Realistic score prediction is I want to say a 2-1 Kansas City win.
Mm-hmm.
However, uh, my gut says a 1-1 draw.
1-1 draw. I think that's very realistic. I think that Kansas City has been very on and off, and I think that they would be upset with a 1-1 draw, of course, at their own home. But given their form and that we beat them last time, and uh, the fact that we get Jackson Newell back, things are kind of like leaning in our favor, in my opinion. And I think that we are also breaking the stigma of being a terrible away team with our second win away from home. But no, I think 1-1 is a very viable take. So Ivan likes to do this game where he likes to ask um, San Jose, finish the statement, right? San Jose will
Mm-hmm.
win if blank. So finish the statement.
If Jack Skahan comes back.
If Jack Scanning comes back, I would actually love to see that. I do think that he provides a lot of energy in the midfield, and that's something that Montero, he would do a better job in this spot. And I think we're starting to appreciate Jack Scanning more, and the players around him are starting to like kind of understand his game better. So I think that would be great. Um,
I think to answer your Ivan question, I think it's the Quakes will win this game if Espinoza takes more shots on target. I don't think we saw too much of shot attempts from Espinoza. We only had that one,
yep,
and that was basically it. So I would like to see some more outside the box efforts
yeah.
because Kansas City is a team that likes to not necessarily sit back, but they're habitually they're known for dropping back and kind of absorbing pressure for a counter. So it'd be nice to see our offense take more shots from outside the box for a hopefully a victory.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be great to punish them offensively. We Espinosa, I feel like these stats are a little bit misleading because we did get a really big opportunity against Vancouver where Cade crossed the ball on his left foot, found Espinosa perfectly in between all the defenders and all the mess, and Espinosa kind of walked over it and just kind of whiffed the ball altogether, which, just to bring up another thing that Cade has been improving on, he used to not really have a left foot at all. So I think that's a
Yeah. Well, it's funny you mentioned the left foot because I think most of Kate's goals in the U20 World Cup came from his left foot, if not
it's
all
so
but one.
weird. I always bring this up. Like he doesn't have a great left foot, and I think that he would say that himself. But he finds himself in opportunities where he needs to use it, and he just kind of swings and it goes in. And I mean, I'm hoping more come because even though they're not great, they go into the goal, and that's all I ask. Um, but yeah, since we're all done with the Kansas City talk,
Yeah, we can move into Quakes too.
yeah, Quakes 2 had a hell of a game this weekend. I don't know if you got the chance to catch it, Devin.
I saw the highlights.
Mm.
And that's basically all I was able to catch. I saw maybe a good 15 minutes of the game live, but overall, similar to what you've already touched up on, is Osemi Buddha is an absolute star for Quakes 2. He can do it at any point, any range, he can bang in a goal at whenever he wants to. Um, so it's nice to see that he's able to bring his talents to the second team and help drive the Quakes for a victory.
No, I totally agree. I think that Useni is a player that I was very excited for when he first came in. Um, and I'm very happy he's playing with Quakes 2. I wish that he, showed more promise for the first team, but when he plays with them, is like a level above, and it's kind of weird how good he is with Quakes 2. I feel like when he's with the first team, he has a lot of pressure on his shoulders. I think that he needs to like work his ass off. I don't know if I could say that on this show, but I said it.
Yeah,
He feels
yeah.
like he needs to
We could
do
bleep.
different things than what he's good at, which is like ball at his feet, just taking on players and finding a shot in and around the box. I don't quote me on this. I might be wrong. I'm gonna do like my impression of Jamin Moore and say that I feel like Useni Buddha has the most goals per minute ratio. Um, I can't say for sure, but I can't think of anyone else who has scored as many goals as he had for Quakes II um, without playing that many minutes. Rodolfo Castro is currently the top scorer in Quakes II history. Uh, I almost said rest in peace because I miss him that much.
I
But
was
he's still
throwing people
alive.
off there.
He's doing well in his new team. He actually scored a goal on his debut. He scored a penalty, I believe. So
He
uh,
did, yeah.
yeah. Props to Castro, who is definitely still alive. Um, but yeah, Buddha has scored probably around 5 goals and has nowhere near the amount of minutes that Castro has. And the second top scorer, I believe, would be um, Max Arfston, who is with Columbus Crew right now, and he has 9 goals for the team, I believe, or 9 or 8. I'm not sure, but obviously, again, way more minutes than Usani Buddha has had because he had that broken foot injury last season.
It's
Um,
crazy to see how far our team's come.
it is crazy. But yeah, let's talk about this game because it was a wild one. Usani Buddha scored the first goal. It was another crazy thing is that Casey Walls got the assist. I don't know if they counted it, but so basically the play was a free kick, a wide free kick on the right side of the box. Lalo Blancas, who is a free kick specialist, plays it in. It comes back out. He chases it down, brings it back, and puts another ball in. Beautiful pass. Casey Walls jumps up and flicks it on. Oseni Buddha brings it down with his thigh, I believe, kind of opens up. It's almost like there's no defender there because he just curls it around the defender and over the keeper and just into the goal. It's just he's like he is incredibly talented, and when I see him doing these things with Quakes too, I'm like, where is it, dude? Like, please do that for us because it would be so cool to be able to like finally be like, this is why the Buddha hype is real. This is where the Buddha train was coming from. Um, but unfortunately, very quickly after that, Houston got a goal. It was a poor touch coming out of the back from Verhoeven. Verhoeven went to bring it down, but it just went up, and then their winger got a hold of it, put it in, and then Edwin Mendoza had the chance to clamp the ball down and stop the play there, but it kind of bounced off of him and then went to the Houston player who hit it first time right outside the box, catching Ochoa unaware. And I think normally Ochoa would get to that. He's a very good keeper, but he didn't have the chance and went to the back of the net. They did that 2 more times. They were just on fire, Houston. Um,
Consecutively.
yeah, they just every time they would attack, they you know found a way to get a shot on target, and those shots were deadly. Um, but the man of the match for me, despite not scoring, was Roberto Hadigan. And I cannot talk about Roberto Hadigan enough. We love Hadigan here at Tectonic Takes. Um, so the second goal that Quakes 2 scored to make it 3-2 was a low driven cross from Hadigan, which came off the defender, went into the goal on goal. We're grabbing that and we're going back to the center line. And then the next one is a free kick. So to make it 3-3, Hadigan had a free kick outside the box. Usually Blancas takes these. Sorry, I'm going on a rant, but I'm trying to recap the game so we
Oh,
can talk
keep
about it.
going. Keep going.
Yeah. Um, the free kick right outside the box, and Blancas is standing over it along with Hadigan. Hadigan surprises the wall and goes near post, where the keeper kind of just gets down to it and parries it but it goes right in front of him, and Casey Walls runs onto it and scores the equalizer. Casey Walls is someone that I want to talk about very briefly because he hasn't had quite the career that we thought he would. I own his shorts now. I don't know where I put those. Um,
And not just his shorts, but a specific kind of shorts.
yeah, the golden yellow shorts from that one Burger King kit that we wore a few seasons
Burger
ago.
King kid.
Yeah. Um,
That's funny.
so yeah, I was kind of pissed I couldn't make it to that game because of my car issues, which is a different thing.
Oh yeah.
But I need to get those shorts signed because that was awesome.
That's probably
Um,
the luckiest shorts of Quake's history because
right.
not to bring up your or not just to bring up your shorts, but I also bought a pair of gold shorts, and it was from Tanner Beeson that same day, and all of a sudden both Quakes teams won that weekend. So
Yeah,
I
Beeson
think
got a
I
clean
think
sheet.
it's all up to the shorts.
Yeah,
That's true. Beeson
the
did get a clean
shorts.
sheet. Yeah.
I totally agree. I think we should go buy more. I think that they should set it up and we'll just buy them every week. Whoever's
Hold
shorts
on,
are
I have
on
them like right
sale,
here.
go get them.
Here we are, right here. The beautiful golden shorts that everyone adores, right here.
Do,
Tanner
do they
Beeson.
smell?
Yes, they were wretched.
That's terrible.
I put it next to my AC the other day, and all of a sudden it just smelled
Oh,
like bad, sweaty pants.
oh God. Oh, now the world knows that about Tanner. But we're gonna move on.
No, it's just it's
um,
unwashed.
so trying to picture the last goal. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. I have the notes written down. Oh right. So Hadigan is all over the place again. He does like step overs. He's shooting, and he's making it very difficult. Um, but I think like there's a deflection, and Ione gets onto it, uh, and recovers possession. Ione is an underrated player. He's like a ball of energy for Quakes II, and I'm very acquainted with him because I've done like 15 interviews with the guy at this point. So we're
I was
basically
about to
best
say,
friends.
yeah, you only do Ion interviews.
Yeah. Um, uh, um, so Blancas gets the ball outside of the box. He sets it up like he's gonna take the shot with his right foot, um, and then cuts back, sending like three defenders for a hot dog, and then super hard shot with his left, goes under the keeper, um, and there's like nothing he could do, and that signifies the fourth goal of the game for Quakes II, and ends the comeback. And I mean, it was a crazy game to watch. But yeah,
Yeah, watching the highlights was that was like a roller coaster in a way because you started off well, then Houston gets three consecutive goals, and San Jose pulls a anything you can do, I can do better, and they score three consecutive goals of their own to win the game late in the stage, late in the second half. So, um,
yeah,
great
and
performance for the guys.
fans in the stadium were like, "God dang, we're so bad today." Like we were getting like from people who are like usually positive, they were just like, "Oh God, these guys are not playing well," and then they turned it around. And I mean that kind of like solidifies the Goonies never say die mentality. Even though we went against that today, um, yeah, I mean
Sometimes.
Blancas Blancas isn't a first team player. He's not someone that a lot of Quicks fans will be aware of, but he's actually the player who scored the first ever goal for Quicks II, and he's been a prominent figure ever since. Um, and hopefully they'll give me him to interview at some point because I would like to talk to him. And no shade to Jerry because I do enjoy Jerry. Jerry's actually a great interview to talk to. So. But
And I
anyways,
have a question for you, Abram.
sure.
Oh,
No, go
if
ahead.
it's cool to ask. If there is a Quakes 2 player that currently isn't on contract, or that doesn't have a first team contract, what player or top three players would you think the Quakes first team should sign?
So when you ask that question, immediately it goes to Hadigan. Um, so I just finished listening to a podcast with Hadigan, and his story of how he became professional is insane. I definitely recommend you go to watch Herminio, all in caps. Definitely check that out. Maybe we'll link it in the description. Um, it's a great interview. And Hadigan is just like an amazing personality that I think that we could do with in the locker room. Um, I think that out of the wingers, out of Quakes II, he is consistently good, and you can't say that about all of them. So we have um, Richmond, we have Buddha, and we have Hadigan. And Hadigan is like, I know we've just talked about Buddha, but I feel like Hadigan would be more consistent than the other two that we mentioned. The only problem is he's a right winger predominantly, cutting in on his left foot, and our right wing spot is not up for the taking. Um,
No.
so that's a big issue. But today, not today, on the day, Hadigan did play left wing while Buddha played right wing. Um, and Hadigan was, for me, the man of the match. He made everything happen. He was everywhere. So Hadigan would be the first. Um, let's think. So it would be like a purely Quakes 2 player. I know that there was talk about bringing on Lalo Blancos as a homegrown because he did spend a year in our academy before joining Quakes 2. But um, we don't need more center backs, but I really like Alejandro Cano. Cano is a Salvadorian. He's played for the national team, I believe. Very smart defender and very tough. He's had like rough moments where he tries to clear the ball off the line and it goes backwards and goes into the goal. But those things aren't really on purpose. Like he didn't mean to do that, and we've all been in those situations where we know how to play. We're a good player, but sometimes the ball takes the bobble and it goes the wrong way. But he's a very talented defender. He's young, and I think that he also has a personality that could really benefit our locker room.
At the time, I think it was pre-COVID. He was signed as a homegrown player, and he had a lot of potential as a center back. And I think it was he and Jacob Cannyridge. I might be
Yeah, Tectonic.
mispronouncing his name. They were both signed as defensive players, and um, I had a lot of high hopes for Walls. And I think one of the downsides to his ability and potential was the fact that COVID hit. It was the same thing as Kate Cowell. Once COVID hit, everything changed. His career kind of veered off on a different fork. So it's unfortunate to see that Casey Walls isn't getting that first team minutes because I really like to see him. And it's funny because back in the day, like the first couple months that COVID hit, he had a lot of FIFA streams, and I was like one of his only fans in the stream saying hi to him. So I don't know, it's like a different connection with Casey, but he does have the drive, like you said. He wears the badge on his heart, and plays his butt off every game and strives to be the best he can. But I think he just lacks a lot of the technical ability and um, aerial ability that you would need in a defender.
Yeah, I think that for aerial ability, I'm not sure I 100% agree. I think that he has fine aerial ability. It's not great, uh, but he does get up there, and he's relatively tall. He's fast. He has a lot of good attributes that I personally really like in a defender. He's left-footed, so he could play at the left center back position, which is not everyone can do that. Um, but he's kind of like the only time we've seen him play for the first team was against Celta Vigo, and credit to him, he did play well. He did show that he can, rival the Spanish team, and was like he was putting in tackles and he was in the right spot. He was doing the build up, but as someone who's watched a lot of Quakes too, usually the first team players you can tell that they're first team. The purely academy guys, they have this like it's like they don't have the spark right away, and you could tell the difference in the way they play. They're kind of shy. They're not confident, and they don't like do risky things. Casey Walls is a first team player, but he doesn't stand out in the way most first team players like Buda, Richmond, Sealy, even Tingy at times. Stands out where Walls is often outshadowed or overshadowed by Muni, who is super promising, and I'm hoping that we can get some chances to see him. But uh, you would think the guy who has been with the first team for what 4 years you know be a bigger presence in that back line. He at one point did wear the armband, but he's just not really. I don't think he's in the thoughts of Lucia at all.
Yeah, well, you actually mentioned a good name in there, Daniel Muni. He's been traveling with the first team quite a bit now, and he's gotten a couple of appearances for the San Jose Earthquakes and made a ton of appearances for Quakes II, and has impressed a lot of fans with his speed, his aerial ability, and he's one of the fastest on the team, isn't he?
Yeah, he is surprisingly because um, it's usually center backs. You don't think of them as like the agile type, but he's up there with Cade and Benji for one of the fastest players. I don't have any data with me to back that up, but I've definitely seen that floated around before.
Yeah, a ton of analysts I think could bring up the data. But even according to the players themselves, they said Daniel Muni, Benji Kikanovic, and Kate Cowell are among the top three fastest on the team. And I think I've heard even Chance Cowell. I'm not sure. I don't know if he's made if many appearances for Quakes II. But I heard he's also an up and coming super cheetah junior. Maybe we can call him. Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah, I think that there's definitely a lot to look forward to, and if you're someone who's like, I can't wait for them to make it on the first team. You don't have to wait. Watch Quakes 2. It's not hard. It's free. Watch Quakes 2. I
it
just
is.
like, there's some people who are like, how are these guys doing? Like, watch them. You can watch them today.
So where can we find the Quakes 2 streams?
The Quakes 2, sorry?
Quakes 2 streams.
Quakes 2 stream. So if it's not on Apple TV, uh, you will find it on the MLS Next Pro website. It'll be, you know, you just look through the schedule and it'll like if you're there on that day, it'll show you the streams that are up. You click on the Quick Two streams. You can either watch it in that on the MLS Next Pro page, or you can go to YouTube and watch it there. If it is on Apple TV, you will scroll down to the bottom of the Quakes page and it'll be there. Um, so if you have had trouble finding Quakes 2 games, it is a little bit more complicated than it needs to be, having two different places where you have to look. Um, but it's definitely worth it. And, there's a lot of young players who have improved from the beginning of the season to now, kind of mid to near end season, like Cruz Medina, who's been improving immensely, in my opinion. Um, but yeah, definitely go watch Quakes 2. If I can't plug anything else today, watch Quakes 2, and then you can get an idea for what the future looks like for this team because it's pretty bright. Despite the results Quakes are having, the talent that we have coming through the academy is really good.
Yeah, I'd like to compare us as the West Coast Philadelphia Union in a way, where we used to be a team where academy players rejected us because for whatever reason we just didn't have that capability of signing them, or we didn't have a GM that wanted to sign them and whatnot. But now with Leach, our academy is thriving, stronger than ever before, and I think we're taking the domestic, um, homegrown stage by force.
No, I totally agree. I think that, it's we have a lot of players that make it to the youth national teams, and you know, at the at one of the tournaments we had tied with most players at the tournament with Quiz Medina, Verhoeven, and um, what's his name, Eddie Mendoza. That's a big deal. It means that we're performing better than most academies and as good as the best ones. So, like I said, there's a lot to look forward to. But with that, that will conclude our today's episode of Tectonic Takes. Devin, I know that we've been working on a project in the Discord that I thought you might like to plug.
Well, I believe you are referencing to the Minecraft server.
Yes, it sounds silly to say like on this soccer podcast, but no. If you are like me, heavily involved in the Quakes community, and you're like, hey, I want to build houses with these people. uh, no,
Yeah,
yeah,
so our server, we have a realm on the Java edition where a bunch of Quakes fans like to hang out and create a virtual community with each other and have fun. We have uh, uh, the Java edition server, like I just mentioned. If you would like to join us, please reach out to my Twitter down below in the description. You can either DM me, or if you can find me on Discord. Oh, I don't know my Discord username. Need to go
that
find that
should be
real
in the
quick.
description as well.
Yeah, we'll put that in the description as well. So if you'd like to join, we're looking for more people. Um, please don't hesitate to reach out, and we'll send you an invite.
Yeah, and huge shout out to Hameen in the Tectonic Shake Discord. He is a monster. He has a newborn son, but even with that, man, he's building like
There's
an
no stopping him.
empire. No, he is
Yeah,
awesome. If you are like hesitant about like joining a new Minecraft server because of how tedious it is, you won't have to do anything. He has all the stuff you need. He's built like a whole fort.
Florian Youngworth would be Florian Youngworth would be impressed because that is the true Avaya Castle.
Right. No, yeah. But yeah, I think we said all we need to say. Thank you, Devin, for joining me, and thank you all for watching. And I hope you have a great day.
Enjoy your week, guys.